Fermented World channel. Today I'm looking in on a mead that I'm brewing specifically for a friend. So we're going to have a taste of it today. We're going to check the hydrometer reading and we're going to see whether it's ready to go into secondary and clear out. It's just a straightforward traditional. But what I did do is I added an extra bottle. So I think it's 720. Yep, I added an extra 720 grams of honey, usual amount of yeast, and it did take a little bit longer for it to ferment out. I checked it probably a week and a half ago, after about a week, and it was nowhere near ready. It was still at like 80 or something like that. So I've been trying to get around to do it, so that's what we're going to do today. So let's get into it and let's check this ABV out for starters, or sorry, the gravity, which will tell us what the ABV is currently. Yeah, I mean, it's still bubbling away. It's calmed down a lot, which tells me that it could still be fermenting, or it tells me that it is still fermenting. We're still very high. Still very high indeed. I need my book. So I'm gonna mark this down at 58. Like I said, I did check this before, and it was way too high, so I didn't even bother doing anything to it. The recording that I did for it, never even bothered uploading it because there was just no point. So today's date is the 6th of June 23, and we are at 1.0, check it, 2468. 58, which is still crazy high. Let's just quickly calculate what the ABV is at the moment. Okay, so this is actually at 12.1 at the moment, which is a nice, I'd happily sit and drink a mead at 12.1. No questions asked, because at that level you're not going to get the undernotes of alcohol. When you start having too much alcohol in there, it can sometimes mask what it is you're trying to brew. Crazy sweet. Don't get me wrong though, it's nice. I'd probably drink it like that. If this yeast failed for whatever reason, I'd drink it like that. Right. So, head scratch and plan. So it's not anywhere near where we want it to be. So I'm going to make a little note about it being super sweet, but nice enough. Put a mark to the thingy, and we'll put it at 12.1. So if we do come back to do another one like this, we can gauge whether we need as much honey in there to begin with. Now if it ferments out down to say about 30, we should have about 16 to 17% and some residual sugars left behind, which is what I was trying to get at. I was trying to add more honey to begin with, to then not have to prat about adding more honey in the end, and then having to stir it in for like 5 or 10 minutes to make sure it's all thin, because you can't beat the crap out of it to get it all mixed in once you've already got your alcohol in there, because you risk contaminating it, oxygenating it, and then before you know it, you've just got something that tastes like ass, which is not what you want. So yeah, always make notes on what you think is going on. and then you can look back and you can work on it from next time. That's rule number 2 for me. Rule number 2 is make notes every single time, even if it's something minute and small, or do it there and then before you forget. Luckily, I record all this stuff, so I can go back and then look and find the information that I need while I'm editing the videos normally. But if you don't video your own things, then you're going to be left without a clue. It's got a very big honey hit on the nose. No real alcohol aroma or anything like that present. Not drinking too much because it's got live yeast in it, and I don't want to be on the Rodney trot. So very carefully, this is going back in. Oh, rule number 1, by the way, is sterilize absolutely everything. Now, if I had to say there was a rule 3, I'd say be patient. Yeast doesn't know the rules. It will do what it wants, and I learned that from somebody else called Brian and Derica. They're actually an American couple who I pretty much followed for ages and ages and ages, watched all of their videos and learned the craft of making mead. They are absolutely brilliant. Go and check them out. They're at City Steadings. Can't miss them. Great couple. Always brewing something. Always brewing something. Yeah. So then, now it's still fermenting. There's a nice yeast deposit at the bottom. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to stir that up and just reanimate it back into the liquid, really nice and gently, just so it can maybe get a foothold again and start another fermentation, because obviously gravity pulls it down, but if it's not floating around with all the other bits of liquid, it's not fermenting more than one bit at once. If it's sat on the bottom, it's only fermenting the bit down on the bottom, is my theory. So we're going to close this back up and we'll come and check this again in a short while. If it's barely moved, I'm going to have to pitch more yeast. Now, I did only put half a packet in, even though I'd increased the amount of honey that I used. So it's a learning curve as well. If I do need to pitch more yeast, I'll know that when I'm doing a higher gravity batch, higher start gravity, it most definitely needs that extra. So thanks for watching, and I'm sorry we didn't get to actually put this into secondary like I'd expected to. See, I had my auto siphon and everything ready to go, but no, that's just the way it goes sometimes. Like I say, the yeast doesn't know what it should be doing, it just kind of does it. So we've mixed the yeast back up into it. We're going to leave it for a short while, come back, check it, see what happens. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later. Looking in on the pear drops mead. Now, I have already checked this. It was kind of super sweet. It hadn't finished fermenting, which was surprising because it just has the normal amount of honey in there. There's still an active fermentation. Sorry if you can hear the crunching and squaffing. The dog's decided to come in for his biscuits. So what we're going to do is we're going to quickly go sterilise this because I forgot to. So yeah, we've sterilised that now. We're going to take the lid off this. We're going to take a hydrometer reading, see where we're at. So like I say, I did take one previously, probably about a week ago now, but it was too sweet. Gravity was too high. Now I'm expecting some sweetness to remain from this, even if it ferments all the way out, because I think some of it in the pear drop sweets is sweetness, which might be unfermentable. So they'll just sit there as a back sweetness. let's do the science bit first. I was getting a glass ready to pour myself some. Get some of this in here. See what the gravity's at. I'm hoping it's come down some. Can't specifically remember what it was, but it was high in the grand scheme of things, which it still seems to be. Yep. 48. So on the 6th, it'll all come down to what it tastes like. 1.05, double check. This is 48. I want to know whether I was right on that now. Yeah, the other one was 58. So this is 1.048, which is quite high still. There's still quite a lot of sugar floating around in that. Oh wow. I done it again. I did a Parma Violet for you. You should go check that out. That was a banger. If you like Parma Violet sweets, oh my days. Oh. That's really nice. That is really, really nice. I just need another bit. Just test this out. We need to find out what the ABV is, so I'll do that quickly whilst I've got it on my mind. Right, so it tastes bloody nice, but it's only at 6.8%. Hmm. 6.8 is not all that much, is it? Doesn't seem to be a great deal of yeast deposit on the bottom either. Just put that back in there for now. I'm going to do what I did with the other one a minute ago, which seems to have started to slow down and not behave itself. So we're going to stir the yeast deposit off the bottom, just to see if it helps kick it in the backside and get it going again. Although this one does seem a lot more cloudy than the other one did, so I'm quite sure that this one's still got quite a lot of yeast suspended in the liquid, as where the other one seemed to be clearing out. Right, so we've stirred that back in, so we're at a loss again. Another one that's taken absolutely forever and I'm unable to put into secondary because I'm not willing to have a mead that's that low and that sweet. Although it's nice, I'd rather it ferment out and then back sweeten it and have something with a bit of kick. So that's going over there like the other ones did, and I've got 2 more to check on, so we're going to get on them. I might just do all of these as like one video, mash them all together and just say checking on the meads. Fingers crossed one of them will be alright, but hey, like I say, the yeast does what it bloody well likes. But this is what I called Hulk to begin with because it was green. Well actually no, it was blue to begin with. Then when I added the honey, it turned green from whatever chemical reaction that caused. So at the beginning of the fermentation, it was actually a green liquid. Now that it's fermented out, it's actually turned red. So we've had I'm not sure whether it's red or purple, right? But we've had a bit of a change in its appearance. So it's no longer called Hulk, it's called Transformer now, because Now, I knew this was going to happen because a chap on Instagram that I follow, he studied yeast anyway, let's just say that. Maybe he's a professor, no, he's a doctor. He's a doctor of something, but I don't know what, so yeah, good point, just be telling you. Anyway, I will find out his name and I'll drop it below if you want to go check him out. He's got some really nice brews, he brews wine and things like that. So he gave me the idea for this and explained that there's a chemical reaction when it gets to a certain acidity that it turns to, from the blue to the red or the purple or whatever. Probably going to be red, to be fair. It looks like a dark red, but this is using butterfly PT, which is these blue tea bags. Other brands are available. These are just the ones that I used. And it's a type of lavender that butterflies absolutely adore. So we're going to open this up. We're going to check the gravity, calculate ABV, and we'll go from there. Like I say, I've had two that aren't even halfway through where they should be by this time. But again, yeast doesn't know what it's supposed to be doing. It just kind of does it. It does its own thing. We are the slaves to the yeast. You know, it's not like we can't control them. We can control their environment, but they're going to do what the bloody hell they want to do anyway. So, might give us a bit of a clearer look at what we got as well, colour-wise. Because obviously in the jar, it's a lot thicker than it is when you've got it in a little tube like this. But same again. I don't know whether I've had a pack of faulty yeast or something, or the yeast just isn't up to the job, but wow, that's only fermented like half of what's there, pretty much, just under half. It had 120 when it started, and now it's at 56, sorry. So let's find the lavender one. So on the 6th June, always make notes, 23rd, it's at 1.0, check, 5246. Which is nowhere near where we want it. Let's quickly do this. Let's have a taste. Kind of got a pinkish haze to it. It was very, very herbal. Extremely sweet. Flavor's good. Flavor's very good. Just way too sweet. I'm going to end up repitching yeast in all of these. I'm going to do what I've done to the others. I'm going to stir the yeast deposit at the bottom back into the liquid and just see if we can get it behaving itself, doing what I flipping want it to do. Ay, ay, ay. So I'm assuming that this other mead at the back there, the ginger one, which was all brewed roughly around the same time, I'm guessing that is having the same issue. So we're going to put the lid back on and we're going to leave it longer. This one was started a little bit later than the other ones. Two of them started on the 10th, one on the 17th, one on the 15th. So this does have a week behind the others, and that's got 5 days behind the others, but we're going to go check that as well. not really a lot else to say. Looking in on a couple of meads which haven't been going all too well. They started well, but they've seemed to reach a point where they can't be arsed anymore. So this is the final one that I'm going to check. This is the ginger mead that I brewed. My own recipe, just giving it a go and trying to develop my own little way instead of using other people's recipes like I used to. So we're going to take a hydrometer reading. We're going to see where we're at, and hopefully this one's actually behaving itself and has ran its course, or maybe even just fermented more than the other ones. Some of them have been going a month and they're just not bothered. They're just like, no, I'll take my own sweet time, and it's looking high already. Can't fathom why. So two of them, this is really annoying me. Anyway, get into it in a sec. 6th June 23, 1.048. Right, now then. The last two I've checked have had a... Oh, that didn't like the star gravity over there. OG 1.146. So I've got two that have started at different gravities and are now at roughly the same amount. So the pear drops one's at 46, the ginger one's at 48, the lavender PT's at 56, and the traditionals at 58. What the freaking hell is going on? This was started on the 15th. It's now of the last month. It's now 6th. The first traditional that I did was started on the 10th of last month. Pardon me. What is going on? Unless the only thing I could think of is it's a dodgy batch of yeast. But that'd have been 2 packs of yeast for 4 different meads. Yeah, so I'd use half a pack for each one. One of them even had the usual amount of honey in as well. So it doesn't actually make sense. This one started a little bit higher because it's in a smaller container and the same amount of honey was used as I'd normally use. But yeah, I don't quite get it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do exactly the same as what I've done with the other ones. I've just stirred the yeast back up again to try and get it off the bottom there, integrate it back into the liquid, and we already written that one down. I think we did, didn't we? Yeah, 4 8. What is going on? So let's have a taste of the ginger mead. Nice, had lemons and oranges in as well, and tea for tannins. Moving away from using the raisins. It's super sweet. But it's also very nice. It's not very balanced though. There is way too much sweetness. I'm not surprised at 1.048. That's like, they're all at the level that you'd class as a dessert mead, where it's super sweet. But normally with a dessert mead, you have a much higher ABV as well. So I'm a bit stunned as to what is going on. I'm going to do the same thing that I did for all the others. I'm gently going to mix that yeast back into this. And hope that it kind of just gets on with its flipping job. Because it's really annoying that it's not fermenting out. after such time. I mean, in about 9 days, that's had a month. I've never had one take a month before. 2 weeks is normally like fermented out. Temperature's been good in here. It's been sat at the usual 20 degrees, which is what I always ferment out at. It does taste very nice though. It's very moreish because of the sweetness, but it's a bit too sweet. You're not getting the citrusiness, and you're not getting that full palate of ginger, which when you're making a ginger mead is kind of what you want. So we've mixed that back in so that it can hopefully restart. If we've not got any show of a fermentation by tomorrow, I will be pitching new yeast to each one of these in a hope to try and get them to go. If they don't go, then they're just sat at whatever they are, and that's that, isn't it? Lesson learned. But even the one, so this pear drops mead, it did have extra sugars other than what I calculated for, because it had the pear drops itself in. So that could have caused it to kind of stall because there's just too much sugar for them to consume, and maybe not enough liquid for them to consume it in. That's a possibility. But I've done one before with in these small vessels. This is like an American gallon. It's a tiny bit smaller. I'm racking my head as to what to flip and do. Actually, kind of bothering me. I mean, they're still bubbling away, which is another thing. It's like it's still doing something, but it's just doing it extremely slowly, as if it's coming towards the end of its life, you know. But this yeast has a tolerance of 18%, and I've got one here, the orange mead that I made, and I just left it and left it. It could have been fermented out to like 18.8%, so it went over its tolerance. Oh, it's blooming annoying. But as I always say, the yeast does what it wants. We can't make it do whatever we want it to do. I've never come across this problem really before, especially not with more than one brew. I think I've repitched yeast before on other brews, but yeah, I've never had to do it on so many brews. But hey, this has made a little video all by itself. I will be back. This is not finished. If in, like I said, a day or so, these haven't kicked back up, we're going to be adding more yeast. So until then, toodle pip. We'll be back.